Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I'm Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news.
Recent indie releases.
And congealing together like the overnight oats of the Playdate community.
Thanks for listening. Let's get started.
Let's get started
I
indeed.
never know what Ryan's going to say, but that was a gross one.
Yeah, so I mean, there's three ingredients, right? There's oats and yogurt and I don't know
Yogurt?
what, like grapes or something?
Yogurt.
Yeah,
Oh, yogurt. Granola.
overnight oats.
Granola.
You made
I
overnight
thought you
oats
put
before?
water in it.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
I
maybe
thought
it's
it was.
maybe it's not granola, it's oatmeal, overnight oats. That would make sense. So, okay, here's the time in the show where we bicker about who's what. Who's the oats? Who's the sweet creamy yogurt?
Is this
Definitely not
the
yogurt.
And who's
corrections segment already?
No, we haven't
Um,
booped into any segment. This is our beginning pre-boop segment.
well, I'm just wondering if we can just boop ourselves right into
Ooh, a
corrections.
request for a
for-
hoopity boop boop.
Oh, I
News and
better open
notes.
Discord. I feel like we had corrections we didn't add.
I feel like we did too, and I am
That sounds like
frantically
a next
looking for them.
episode problem.
We'll go a month with no corrections. We could do that.
All right, here we go. So, news and notes. Starting out
Oh.
with what? Am I being interrupted?
There was a lot of commentary about Quarth.
Is that something we're going to talk about?
Fourth was a big
well,
hit.
it's a correction, yeah.
A correction.
yeah.
I think you mean
Zanya
a
had-
celebration
Sonya had something she wanted to clear up, though.
about Quarth.
The Playdate Atelier is for games coming out in 2025 or in progress games to show off or tease. The first Atelier video is from House 7 talking about Carte Blanche. The throwback is strictly for games from 2021 to 2024 to rediscover games or for new members of the community to discover games they've missed. Uncranked episode 12 talks about the Uncranked quadfecta. Let's see. And then the summer direct is in planning stages. More on this soon. And so the print zines will be on sale soon. You have to go on Shopify to see the discount.
Hey,
We'll hear about that soon.
We're gonna
We'll
get
hear
there.
more
We're
about
gonna
that soon.
get to the uncranked corner. Now we got two corners. We haven't any more. We're gonna be in a square.
We have a
So
line.
hold on there, Dono. We're
Yes.
working our way there.
Okay.
Getting
Okay.
ahead of yourself. Getting ahead
All
of
right.
my news and notes. You think I don't do this every week? Come on now.
You're
What do you think? I'm
pro.
an amateur?
No,
It's every other week, Ryan.
forgive.
Correction.
Fine. I'm an amateur. Fine. Okay. So let's make this happen. As I was gonna say, there's a new official Playdate podcast episode just dropped a few days ago, and this one is featuring the developers of Bullfrog and who happen to be interviewing each other. So this is kind of a different format than we're used to from Krista Mergen. She chimes in every several minutes or so with a brief aside, but mainly it's just the developers interviewing one another. And I don't know. I was listening and I thought there was some interesting stuff in here, like Bullfrog had a version of the game originally coded for Pico 8. Nick, you seem like you're the one who would know what the heck a Pico 8 is. Do you know about this?
Yeah, it's a black and white development system, I think. Hold on.
Came after the Pico
I didn't
7.
say Google it. I said, do you know about it?
Oh yeah, it's a fantasy console.
Does that mean it's
So
real or
it
fake?
is not a real physical device, but it's a device that has specific capabilities. It's like a pretend console. If you have played UFO 50, it's like one of those. Um, and it's made to feel like a regular console, but it runs on computers. And you're able to create your own games and those kind of things. It's very sort of similar to what the actual physical Playdate is, as regards things like pulp and so forth.
Huh. And in terms of limitations, is it also 1-bit color or?
Some limitations. It looks. I pulled up the Pico 8 site right now, and this is all in color. But everything I've ever seen that's Pico 8 has, maybe I'm thinking Pico 8 inspired on the Playdate, but it's always been black and white.
Hmm.
Everything I've ever seen. I haven't messed with Pico 8
Hmm.
itself.
Okay.
If
Well,
you
sorry to
couldn't,
put you
if
on
you
the
couldn't
spot.
tell from this
Yeah.
rambling,
You can also say that you don't know. That's okay too.
I
But
also don't know. But I pulled up this website while we were talking.
I appreciate you Googling for me. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
But speaking of the Bullfrog game and devs and talk on this new official Playdate podcast episode, of which we're speaking, there were also spoilers about additional character unlocks beyond the Bullfrog. So, if you enjoy those things, listen. If you don't like the old spoilers, maybe hold off until you play the Bullfrog. And with regard to I thought it was really interesting that had its origins in an LED rhythm game that he called Skipper. Um, and another thing he mentioned was that works. You know how is like a rhythm game essentially, and he's saying that it works on frames rather than time. So I guess the spoots or the shots or whatever happen every 8 frames rather than a particular number of seconds, which
Mhm.
I did not fully understand if that was. It sounded like maybe it was more reliable than time, but I didn't understand why that would be. Nick, can you decipher that for me?
Yeah. Um, so when you have a device which is doing a bunch of stuff simultaneously, like drawing on a screen or playing music or accepting input and processing it, um, all those things take CPU time. So if you have something rigidly limited to function on time, so it requires a button press at exactly 1 minute, 32 seconds. The likelihood that that input will be missed or processed at a later time is much higher,
Hmm.
just because there's no CPU time available to do it. The interrupt doesn't happen until the next cycle or whatever the case is. Um, so working on frames makes it more reliable, and it also makes it more consistent from the player's perspective.
Hmm.
Um, so I have some insight into that from developing a rhythm game of my own.
Very cool. Well, thank you again.
You're
Um,
welcome.
well, speaking of this show, Nick, I know you listened to this, but did you listen all the way to the end? And did you listen to all the words? Because at the very end, Krista
Yeah.
dropped a bomb. Did you hear this
What's the
bomb?
bomb?
Do-
I must have missed it.
the bomb is that there's going to be a new season of official Playdate podcast episodes, and it's
What?
coinciding with the new season of Playdate games. There was not a
Whoa.
mention of exactly when any of this was happening, but the word soon was used, so we can do with that what we will. Anyhow, great episode again, and even though it was a different format from what we were used to. Super enjoyable, I thought. And we've got a link to it in the show notes of our episode. So there you go. Krista, good to have you and the devs back and looking forward to more, it sounds like. Speaking of Panic, they are returning to OMSI, which is the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, for their event called OMSI After Dark. Game on. So this is taking place tomorrow night or today or whenever you're listening to this, more specifically, Wednesday, February 26th, 2025, from 6 to 10 p.m. Now, this is a ticketed event with tickets going for $27 a pop and restricted to folks that are 21 and up. So it is an adult event. Unfortunately, tickets are sold out, so I guess you cannot go if you're hearing about it from us for the first time, but it's an event that's happening and has happened before, so I don't know, maybe get on the old OMSI mailing list if this is something that interests you. But if anyone out there is heading to the old OMSI After Dark Game On event, please let us know. Hey, you know what you could do? You could even drop us a line or a little mention at the Bingo's tip line. Nick, you want to shout that out?
It's 724 Bingo's one 724 246 4671.
Thank you. I was scrolling in our show notes and there's so much in here. I couldn't even find it. Thank you. I knew you'd know that. Excellent.
Jam-packed episode.
I'll say. So that's that about some more Panic news. And also, speaking of Panic, boy, howdy, Panic is rich with the news this week. There is maybe, possibly a potential Panic event. Did you guys get this email?
We
Sure
did.
did.
I know you did because you're the ones who told me about it. So this email is not an announcement. It's not saying that this is happening. It's saying, hey, what would you think about something like this? Would you come to an event like this? And there is a survey for you to take. So we've got a link to that survey in the show notes for today's episode. And hey, go take that survey. Let them know what you think. I'd love to go to something like that. What about you guys?
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, I'm very tempted. Ask the family, what do you guys think about Portland
Yeah.
this summer for vacation?
I hear it's lovely in the summer.
Is it?
Yeah, in fact, I've been a few summers. My brother used to live in Portland, and if anybody is on their way to Portland, make sure you budget like an entire day to just camp out at Powell's Books in Portland, Oregon. It is the most heavenly place I've ever seen. Anything you can ever want in book form is there. They also have this cafe that they allow you to like bring as many books as you want and just camp out and read them. And when you're done, you don't even have to reshelve them. There's like these little caddies that you toss your books back on and then you just leave. But it always amounts to me buying way more books than I thought I would. So I think their plan is working. Anyhow, that's my Portland tip for you. But yes,
This episode sponsored by Powell's Books. Is that right?
Howell's City of Books.
Oh, it's so good. So good. I used to tell my brother when I would go visit him, it got to the point where I'm like, look, I'm going to come up there on a day that you are working so you can drop me off when you leave and pick me up when you come back from work. That is not a joke.
I've got to visit the city.
It's worth
City
it.
of Books.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Anyhow. Okay. So yes, Panic. Hope you can get that together. Hope we can come out.
Oh,
boy, howdy. That would be a fun
Do you
time.
think, are you going to tell them to host the event in Powell City of Books?
Oh, that I feel like that might be a conflict of interest. I would be so distracted. I wouldn't know if to look at games or books. Oh, I might implode. So anyway, I'm not sure I'll make that suggestion, but maybe we could take a little group tour and go look at some books. That would be lovely. Regardless, fine idea. If you would like to send your thoughts to Panic about that potential Panic event, you know where to look for it. Show notes of our episode. All right, moving past the Panic news for today, we're booping into the next one, which is yet another Engadget review from your friend and mine, Cheyenne McDonald. Why did that take me so long? And this time, she's talking about Pup Cup. Pup Cup from Ledbetter Games. So Dylan, congrats on the lovely write-up here and Engadget. That's fantastic. Lots of positive things to say. And speaking of Ledbetter and Pup Cup, did you guys see this Reddit post where Dylan of Ledbetter Games goes to feed dogs at the dog park little whipped creams Sundays to promote Pup Cup? It was lovely. A lovely little video. I hope you guys get to see it over there.
We had literal pup cups, branded pup cups. That was very cool.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for putting together that lovely video, Dylan of Ledbetter Games. And that brings us to boop. Have you guys heard of a YouTube channel called James Channel? James Channel?
Not until today.
Yeah, I hadn't either, but evidently a few folks have because he's got nearly 250,000 subscribers, and he just recently reviewed his new Playdate. And this video alone already has over 250,000 views on it. I watched about the first 5 minutes or so. It's like a 25, 30-minute video. It's mainly like introductory content. Like he's literally opening his game for the first time and showing what it does. And I didn't get past that. So, but I thought I'd mention it here in case there's newcomers to the Playdate arena. And they might be interested in such things. You never know. Maybe this is somebody's first time listening to our show. So there you go. Link for that is going to
Welcome.
be in our show notes of today's episode.
Very cool.
All right. Well, moving into the next news and note, I think this is from Donathan. Don, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, there's this promotional screenshot that's been on the Playdate website since inception of like a little dungeon crawler. And every week, at least on Reddit, somebody asks, what game is this from? What game is this from? And so Nevin finally created a game jam called the Unfinished Dungeon Crawler Screenshot Jam,
What?
asking people to create a game based around the screenshot because there's no game. It's just a screenshot. When Evan was building the website, he just grabbed the screenshot, and for 3 years, the game doesn't exist. It's just an unfinished nothing game. And so, yeah, the game jam just finished. There's 3 entries, one from Ledbetter, one from Orkin, and one from Knickknack. And one of them called Could This Be That Dungeon? That's pretty good. And then yeah, so there's no real prize. I mean, it's just seeing if a game could come out of it. I haven't tried them yet, honestly, but I think that's just such a funny idea for a game jam. And now, hopefully on Reddit, when people ask, they'll just point to these submissions and then they'll go, yeah, there's 3 of them. You go try these out. So we
That's
got to get on and
hilarious.
try these out.
I had not heard of this. This is great. Thank you for including this.
Yeah, it pops up all the time, and all 3 of them seem to include that screenshot. So I do want to try these out and you get on this. So very funny. He does say that if the winner is in town, he can make them a pizza next time they're in Portland. So pretty
Very
cool.
kind. Thank you,
Yes.
Nevin. Maybe do a little recording sesh with Krista while you're at it. Get them on the podcast.
There you go. Yeah.
Just
So
a
if you want to
suggestion.
try them, there'll be a link in the show notes. You can play all 3 of them.
Cool,
Unfinished
cool.
dungeon
Well,
crawlers.
speaking of game jams, we are on the last Hello Playdate podcast call anyway, for Play Jam 7, put together by possibly Axolotl. The submissions are open from March 7th to March 10th, and I understand we're still in February, but we are not recording again until after that date window, so I wanted to get that out there one more time before another fortnight passes. Just as a reminder, all entries must run on a Playdate console or the Playdate simulator. All entries must be safe for work. You may submit as many games as you want with teams of as many as you want, as long as they're made in the jam period, and submissions may not promote discriminatory views such as racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, etc. Submissions have got to be free or have a free jam version. We've got a link to that in the show notes of today's episode, as you know. Guys, you jamming?
Have not checked the submissions out, but they're not even open yet. So I
Yeah.
will not create a jam, but I will
Okay.
play the jams when they're ready.
Okay.
We
Playing
do
the
have like
jams.
3 days left to vote on the uncranked jam though. That's going on right now. So get your votes in right away.
Vote them up. Man, all the yams. Very good. Speaking of uncranked, thank you for that additional segue, Don. We are now officially moving ourselves into the uncranked corner that we all know and love, starting with the fact that Uncranked Magazine is looking for writers. And interested parties can contact Zanya Lasagna via email at uncrankedpdzine@gmail, or you can DM Zanya Lasagna on Discord. That's XANIA Lasagna on Discord. And the writers that she's looking for, first, she wants somebody who's going to focus on Playdate music. Then she's looking for a pulp dev for issue number 7 to do an interview or to submit an article. Sounds like there's some leeway there. And then finally, she's looking for a C and or Swift dev for issue number 8. This can be an interview or an article. C or Swift. Scenic route software. We'll see who responds to that. But lots of opportunities to get involved with the old Uncranked magazine. In addition to that, Zanya's looking for 6 more devs for the 2025 edition of Fun in the Sun bundle. You know how Zanya does. She puts together these wonderful game bundles, seems like seasonally, and puts a bunch of games together, does a bunch of promotion around them, sells them for a wacky low price for us players, and gets a bunch of notoriety for the devs. So if you're interested in that, reach out to Lasagna as well. And finally, those 2025 calendars are on blowout clearance right now. You can hit that Shopify storefront if you're looking for those. And that does it for the Uncranked Corner and our news section for today, unless I'm missing anything. Pregnant pause. No responses from anybody. Okay, I guess I got them all.
All good.
And but wait, there's still more. Because we've got a destination update, right?
Oh, yeah. I guess that counts in here. Destination update, there's a bunch of updates this time. We only had one last time, but now destination update has covered suborbital salvage, hope lost, trackmania, and extras. So check all those out. There'll be a link in the show notes.
Boy, making up for lost time. That's a bunch. Very cool. Yeah. Nice work, destination update. And I think that brings it to our indie inventory for today. Donathan, what's going on here?
Yeah, we got a small batch today. The first one is a game called Crank Up. It's one of those like stacking games, stack up games, but it looks pretty polished. This one is by Elioth. I hope I'm saying that right. And it's currently part of a bundle of 63 games for $1.
What?
Yeah, that's what it says on here. I haven't looked at the bundle, but it looks like mostly PC games. Some sort of, I don't know, some sort of French, I don't know, fundraiser. It looks like Phoenix Wrong is in here, Nick. It's one of the games. Yeah.
So
Yes.
looking at these GIFs, I'm curious about the kind of tapered edges which appear on some of the blocks as they slide into place.
This looks amazing and
kind of
very
an
polished, as
unusual-
Don said.
You're
But
right.
those
Yeah.
tapered edges, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that if you get it perfectly or
Perfectly
near
centered?
perfect, then it rewards you
It
with
expands a little bit.
more flared out top for the next
Ooh.
block.
I kind of
What a
like that
great idea.
Isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, it looks
Very
amazing.
unlike the arcade game version of this that
Right.
completely takes away from you.
Yeah.
Neat. Very
It's
cool.
also translated into 5 languages: English,
Yeah.
French, German, Spanish, and Portuguese.
And
I
if
was
that
gonna
wasn't
point
enough,
that out. That's very cool.
and if that wasn't enough, there's also leaderboards. My goodness, what more can you ask for?
How
This
about OST tracks from Muzak?
That's a lot
Or-
to ask for. And I looked at the 63 games, and there's 4 Playdate games in here, so a quarter each.
Wow.
What in the hay?
Ooh, Minami Lane's in here as one of the PC games. I have that on Switch, and I really enjoy that game. If you like cozy games, I think I paid $6 just for that. Oh wait, there's another
Incredible.
Playdate game on here. That's 5.
My gosh.
Zowie.
How can you say no?
Boy, howdy. Check out the link in the show notes of today's episode. That sounds like a deal that we cannot
What-
miss.
What was
Nice
the name of that
find,
game?
Don.
Crank Up is
Crank
the name
Up.
of the game. Yes. Next up is Volt Flop by Jessica Ugg. This is a familiar mix of Minesweeper and Ryan Picross.
Familiar
You had
to
me at
some.
Minesweeper.
Yeah, I figured. Each card on the board contains coins or a volt. Each of the columns and rows tell you the number of coins and how many volts they have. So you're searching for stuff you don't want to flip over. So in Picross, you're either marking columns with your, I guess the things you want to mark, or you're Xing them out so you know, okay, well, there's nothing to mark here. In this case, you guess you don't want to mark those things because it might be a volt and you would lose the game. That's where your mine is. So this is free. You can check it out for
What?
free.
Boy,
Looks
howdy.
interesting.
Don coming with the deals today on the end of the inventory. My goodness.
Yeah, I like these mashup puzzle games. It's kind of a cool idea.
This
So if
was
you're
developed by Jessica.
Jessica, love the dev name as well. If that's not enough Minesweeper for you, we have Dex Sweeper, crank powered dexterity Minesweeper. This is Minesweeper, but the cursor is constantly moving. The cursor never stops moving. You have to use the Playdate crank to guide your movement and then time your tile reveals carefully. One wrong
What?
move could be your last. Yeah, the cursor's just floating around and you got to
Huh.
hit the button carefully.
That sounds insane.
Yeah, this does look very difficult. I mean, regular Minesweeper is difficult enough for me. But there you go. This is an interesting twist on the formula. It's currently
And
on sale for $2, usually $4.
that's right, 50% off.
Yeah, it look kind of cool. I don't know. Yeah, I suck at this kind of game, but it's definitely adds a element of adventure and action to the formula. This is
Neat.
by Fishagon LLC. And then moving into catalog, we have catalog updates today. First up, Cranky Cove by John Simintov for $8. This one reminds me of the back glass from Safecracker. I think it might be kind of a doodle god thing where you're mixing different
Elements.
elements together, yeah, to create something new.
Huh. Okay.
It's a crafting game. There's over 100 unique items to craft, over 60 levels, and it's a cozy game, so I guess you're trying to fulfill quests for townspeople or something by creating different elements. I don't know. Looks cool. Definitely looks crank based.
Looks cool. Looks like there's online scoreboards, and it looks like somebody else is going to have to get on here because John S.
Yeah.
has all the top spots. John S.
Professor got on there.
Okay, one more.
One of
more.
them. Yeah.
Okay. But I'm, come on. Devs, can you really get on this leader on every single top leaderboard?
They got to make sure it works.
Yeah,
I guess he was testing it out.
you gotta have
huh?
initials to knock off, Ryan.
Yeah, there
True.
you go.
True. All right.
Anyway.
What do we have after that?
Well, can I just point out that the GIF that's showing a postcard that's being rendered
Mhm.
looks amazing. I'm really impressed with the graphics.
I do like the graphics. They're very charming.
Yeah. The whole
Yeah.
thing looks very polished.
Yeah. Okay, next up is Midnight Drift 86 by Henry Fellner. And this is a drifting game as obvious from the title, but it's got a gigantic sprite of a I don't know what kind of car this is, but some kind of car you're
A
drifting.
1986 something or other.
Yeah, Metro or something. Looks like that's the game. You're drifting. You're certainly drifting. And it's inspired by Initial D, if that means anything to you. I am familiar with that title, but
Have you played the arcade game?
I think
Initial D?
I've played it years ago. I'm definitely familiar with that title, but I don't know. Is this recommended, Nick?
Maybe. I haven't tried this one yet.
Okay. You're racing against the clock. So I don't know. It looks kind of cool, and it's $2.
Yeah.
You like drifting games? Can't go wrong.
Drifted up.
I think the art style also works for this game too. I like that the road is particularly clear, despite the size of the car sprite.
Incredibly legible.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
agree.
Cool.
So that was by Henry Fellner.
That's
Midnight Drift 86.
Yeah. Next up is Eldritch Soul by Power Dive Games, currently $7. This is a roguelike deck builder. I think we've talked about this one before in the inventory segment, but it looks inspired by Inscription. I think that's what we mentioned last time. You're building a deck and playing guards against some creepy monster eyeball monster thing. Yes. Anyway, I liked all the Power Deck games I played, so I'm sure this one's great too. So if you like deck builders, give it a shot.
Very
And
good.
Carte Blanche from HOW 7, currently $10. This is a parlor game, a card game,
Multiple card games. Look at
multiple
this.
card game.
5
Five,
classic card games: Cribbage, Jim Rummy, Spades, Casino, Sprite, and Malice.
yeah, try your luck. I don't see leaderboards here, but it looks very polished and looks like you can win some funny prizes. There's a straw you can win. Oh, it's a penny machine, so you get to spend your money on a little prize machine. So anyway, looks
This this
really
looks
nice.
awesome. The penny slot machine looks really cool. Um, but the graphics, good crop of graphics this week, everybody. Nice work.
Yeah, very
Um,
legible, as you were mentioning before. Good,
yeah,
good.
page turning animations, slot machine animations. Those are all looking great. Love it.
A lot of information here, but all very legible.
Yeah.
All right,
Again,
I'm waiting
that's
for somebody to explain this next one to me. Extras?
looks like a
What's going
Twitch
on here?
game or something.
Well,
Yeah.
first, Ryan, you have to know about Picross, and
No, say it ain't so.
that's the X in extras. No, not really.
I'm
Uh,
not familiar with Jordan Carroll, but they are the narrator of the game.
that's unusual for a Playdate game.
Yeah, the announcer.
Yeah,
And music provided by Lemon Poppy Seed Games. But yeah, it's like I guess different shapes, and you have to hit all the X's as fast as possible before the time runs out.
within a tetramino.
Is it always a tetramino? Tetramino? Don't think so. I don't know.
Uh, I don't. The gifts seem to indicate that it would be, but I don't know.
Oh, don't show this screenshot to Nintendo. But there's a bunch
This
of leaderboards and stuff. This looks pretty cool. I don't know. This looks like a Ryan game.
It
this
does.
screenshot of the animated GIF down at the bottom looks really interesting, actually. I'm guessing that you're using your D-pad for all this, but it it looks like it would be really challenging to keep up the speed. I don't know.
Super
Well, I hope you do
fast,
because it's
Simon says.
burning at
I'll
the
say.
bottom.
It is on fire. Yeah. I don't know. Looks pretty cool. And $3 right now. Usually
Yeah.
4.
Also, leaderboards. Looks like a healthy leaderboard set already. Nicely done for a
Collect as
day
many
one
X's as
launch.
you can within 60 seconds.
Huh. Fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you already mention it's 25% off?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's it.
Well, it's amazing that you mentioned that because it's time to talk about sales. We've got
Hey.
catalog sales, and two of the ones that we've already mentioned are Cranky Cove and Extras, and both of those are on sale. Um, we
Also,
also have, in celebration of the official Playdate podcast, and Bullfrog Deluxe are on sale. Is
yeah.
$4 and Bullfrog is 5, and those are both they have hefty discounts of at least a third. And finally, Rocket Bird relaunched is 50% off in catalog. It is $1
Very good.
currently. Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Looking good, guys. Very good. Well, thanks for the roundup, Don. As always, that's I love hearing about all these new games. So thank you for doing that. And I guess that brings us to Bitty Boop, our pick of the week. And this time we are chatting about a little game called Negative Reinforcement. This is by Digicarrot. And if that name sounds familiar, it's probably because we've chatted about this particular dev's games in the past, like Queen Miners, Escapion, all sorts of great stuff. And this is the latest installment from Digicarrot. In fact, it was part of the Uncranked Game Jam, if I'm not mistaken. So this is super de duper new. Still sort of kind of in development. I guess there's going to be some modifications made to this game once the Game Jam voting period is over. Right now, they're sort of locked into the game that they've made, but the game that is here is amazing. I downloaded it, played it, had a great time, and wanted to share it with all of you. So, what the heck is this game? Well, it's billed as sort of a math puzzle game, but I think that's kind of underselling it. It's really more action puzzly than math, I would say. Basically, you're trying to solve a math puzzle to get a negative equation. So like 8 minus 9 equals -1. And once you form this equation, then it opens up the exit for you in whatever level you're on. And in order to do this, in order to collect these numbers to put into this equation, you might have to go through a number of different puzzly, platformy hoops in order to grab these numbers and bring them back. So it's really a lot of like action puzzle type gameplay. I thought this was super fun. It's all wrapped in this great story. There's a fantastic intro scene, which was, being talked about on our Discord, rightfully so. I thought it was super fun. And then it's all about the gameplay, which I super enjoyed. And I can't wait to hear about your guys' experience with this. Oh, P.S., there's 57 stages. I'll be looking forward to hearing how many stages you made it through in the past couple weeks. So, Nick, you want to take this away?
Sure. Yeah, the intro animation, super impressive and very lengthy. I was shocked at just how much exposition there was in this Game Jam game. Um, I was expecting something a lot less polished for something that was a Game Jam game, but this exceeded expectations in many regards. Uh, Music is great, and the only thing that I had a bit of trouble with were the controls. So the controls for moving your character are very tight and they work very well, which is great because there are some pretty challenging little segments that I've hit so far. I'm not extremely far into the game, but I'm not at level 57 or whatever the last one is by far. But it's the thing that I had a bit of a qualm with was the cursor for picking up tiles is sometimes two squares in front of you and sometimes one. And as you're turning, it seems the radius decreases. And so sometimes you might be trying to make a split second maneuver and you mess it up because you're not quite aligned properly, even though you should be aligned properly. And that kind of got me a few times, but that's a really minor quibble with the game because usually you're able to recover. There are a few instances where the timing is really tight, and that makes those levels really challenging, but not unbearably so. Just a lot more than I would have expected going into a particular stage. Um, the math itself is not difficult. None of the actual puzzle solving is very challenging. There are cool new mechanics which are introduced every few stages, like throwing a tile into a little pit and then it becomes a countdown timer, things like that. And so if you pick the wrong tiles for that, it will prevent you from getting the I had just gotten to areas where there are multi-factor equations or multi-variable equations, I guess is a better way to say that. And I really like that, where there's like 5 tiles that you have to place, something like that. So I'm in the 20s as far as levels go. I think early 20s maybe. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks for the pick.
We'll keep going because there's more of that multi-factor equation in puzzles to come. I made it up to level 30, and there's a real brain teaser there. I feel like
Hmm.
most of the puzzles, math is not at the forefront, but this one definitely is. And in that level, it's timed so that in this relatively large equation you have to figure out. You've only got so many seconds, and I haven't managed to complete it yet. But just like every
Hmm.
one of the other levels, it teaches you your mistakes very quickly, and so when you retry, uh, you seem to make progress every single time you try a level, even if you don't complete it. So that was uh, heartening for me. Don, what did you think?
Did you guys look? Is there a retry button on the like pause menu? I didn't look.
If you hit B, you'll insta explode and then be able to
Oh,
retry pretty much
okay.
immediately.
That was going to be something I was hoping was added, so that's nice that it's in there.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple times where I'll mess up. And I'm like, oh, I know that I like there would be a maze or something, and there's two tiles you can choose from, and if you waste too much time going for the wrong one, it's like, oh, I wish I could just restart. So that's cool that that's there. Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the game. All the Digicare games are really fun ideas, and I think almost all of them were birthed from game jams. Just looking at the collection, I think all except Escapion maybe wasn't, but the rest were.
Wow.
So it's crazy. Yeah, they've all got long cutscenes and stuff, or most of them do. Uh, got kind of like a little universe going.
And to make
So
all this happen in a week, that's
I know it's
crazy.
crazy. I know that there are assets that they hold on to, like the characters show up again and again, which is cool.
Hmm.
So it's kind of you know what you're getting into, which is nice. When you play a Digicarrot game, it's cool going back to the same kind of universe. So I was looking forward to playing this, knowing the pedigree. Uh, I was turned off by the math element, but you're right. The math is so slight. It's not even really a thing. Uh,
You
they're
don't
such
like math, Don?
simple. They're relatively simple equations. Well, I like math fine, but the math is not the big emphasis here. It's just a small piece of the puzzle. Um, there are so many other elements to it. And I played, yeah, somewhere around 20 levels or so, the low 20s. Also, I got into the 5 digit puzzles as well. Um, I do wish that when you're approaching the dock, it wouldn't go too deep. Like approaching the dock should just be one tile deep so that you just lock into the dock right away. There's so many times
Yeah.
where I threw my piece past the dock,
Overshot it.
yeah,
Yeah, that
overshot it,
happened to
and I
me
was
a
like,
lot
okay,
too.
that doesn't need to happen. Then you have to like kind of walk back and do. And I feel like that's just something, a quality of life thing they could fix pretty easy if it wasn't a game jam game.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's little stuff like that. I think that I'm guessing there are puzzles where you do have to have it too deep. I'm trying to think if there are any that I needed to throw it too deep. Maybe some where you have to block things. And you need to have it tiles deep. But if there's not, then just have it one. Just have your cursor be one. Just have it be right in front of you. I guess would be an easy fix. Anyway,
Can
that's totally minor.
um can I suggest something?
Yeah.
This is out there, so get ready. But what if you didn't have a player sprite at all and you just had like an outline on the square and you move that?
I think the player sprite is important for the action elements of the game, like where you're running past moving targets and stuff like that. You're running past spikes
Yeah. I mean
and
you
the
could
story
you could do that
elements.
with the little outline. And yeah, so I get the story elements. I'm just thinking for clarity and ease of um, movement, placement, those kind of things. But but yeah, I hear
So
you.
even with a player sprite, I remember when I first started playing the game and started trying to get a handle on that one or two squares in front of me play mechanic. I was wondering why not just have your pickup ability right on the sprite
On
itself?
top of it. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
expected at
because
Yeah.
first.
I don't think there's any
It
elements in any of these mazes where you have to place a tile on a harmful square. Like you
yeah,
don't fall in and die or yeah.
there are because you're blocking, like when you're blocking moving, um, like the
Oh, that's
Cylons or
true.
whatever,
That's true. It's been a
Yeah.
minute since I did those. Yep, you're right. You're right.
it would break those puzzles.
Yep.
I agree though. That's what I expected at first. You would just
Mhm.
put your character on top of the tiles.
But I will say that while I understand your critiques about one or two squares in front of you being a little inconsistent, a little hard to track, I must admit I became pretty adept at using that one or two squares in front of me and felt like I got it after a
Yeah,
couple levels and it did not upset me.
it's a
So,
very, very minor complaint in my opinion.
Yeah.
There were a
Yeah.
couple
It
times
is.
where I would fail a puzzle because of it, but it wasn't that often. And the levels are so short for the most part. It was like every once in a while I would lose out on 30 seconds or a minute. It wasn't like, oh crap, I got to redo 3 minutes of a puzzle or something.
yeah, yeah.
It didn't sour my opinion of the game. And I was keeping in mind this is a game jam game the whole time too. And this is quite
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
achievement for a 1 week or
It's
Totally.
2 weeks or whatever it was.
extremely polished for
Yeah,
the amount of time.
absolutely. And
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Don.
the degree, like the number of puzzle elements in the game
It's
Yeah.
was
crazy.
astounding. Yeah, I
Yeah.
expected there to be like three or something or
Yeah.
zero. The puzzle element would just be the addition elements. And then
Right.
they just keep adding more and more and more. And I kind of like that you didn't really know what anything did. And so you would kind of have to screw up half the time, like to not really know what the wells did. You would drop a key in there, you drop a number in there, and then not really know what happened. And then like, oh, I put an 8 in there when I should have put a 2 in there or something because that was the wrong. In this case, I put the wrong number in there and I got a totally wrong answer. And then, oh, I'm out of time. Um, I
Yeah,
kind of
I
like
thought that
that.
was really fun, actually. It was
Yeah.
like a very fast learning curve. Like you do something wrong and then you instantly know what you did wrong. It's not like you
Yep.
are wondering what happened. Like you see an immediate response. Oh, okay, now I know how to navigate around that next time. And yeah, the levels felt well designed, especially for a 1 week game.
Yeah, totally.
And I was gonna say earlier, we're lucky enough to have DigiCarrot chiming into our Discord, and he spoke a little bit about creating this very fleshed out game in a week's time. And he was really kind of like um, humble and self-effacing about it and explaining how he basically had, a set number of elements that he'd sort of pieced together. And it was just a matter of making more levels, and he wasn't sure how many levels he was going to be able to make, but it ended up being 57. And but just basically using modular elements to piece things together. But even so, there's so much here for a 1 week game, for a fleshed out game, for a month long, year long game. This is really impressive, and to know that this took place in a week is pretty mind blowing. So I hope that folks will get out there and give this game a try.
It reminded me a bit of Kirby's Dream Course. Obviously, the gameplay is different, but the way that you navigate the levels reminded me a lot of that. Like, oh, what do I have to do to solve this puzzle to get there's different elements here, the spikes, or um, in Kirby's there's tornadoes or jump pads or this or that or this or that, and the space is a little bit bigger than the screen. Sometimes you'll go outside of the screen. It's not just a single screen puzzles on this game. And same with Kirby, you have to like kind of look around and explore the space. And it just kept bringing me back to thinking about that game. And then maybe the number element of like par, the golf scoring of Kirby kept going back to that. Maybe I don't know. I just kept going back to that as like, oh yeah, this is another Kirby element. So I don't know if that was
Huh.
something that was on mine.
Interesting. So I just looked it up. That's a Super Nintendo golf game. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It's like
Okay,
golf, pool, and pinball a little bit mixed all together.
interesting. I've never played this.
That's one of my favorites.
I have to look that up.
Nintendo Online, Ryan. You got to get on there and explore a little.
Yeah, I guess I'll have
Did,
to do that.
did you guys look at the update notes for 1.0 that are coming next week?
Not closely, only in as much as DigiCarrot was saying there were a few courses that he felt were quasi unpassable and wanted to make things a little more fair.
Yeah.
But one of those courses was, oh, what did he say? Level 29, I think.
Yeah, that's one of them.
And uh, I thought that course was far more achievable than some of the earlier courses. I think I was on what was that, 21 or 24, where there's these horizontally moving elements, these little spiky bricks. And oh boy, I swear I must have had 100 attempts before finally completing that course. Whereas 29, which he thought was uh, a game stopper, I think I completed that in maybe 5 attempts. It's a longer puzzle, and you have to be really methodical about the movements that you make. But in my mind, it's far more achievable than that quicker, earlier. Oh gosh, I should reference back to see what level it was. I want
I
to say
think it was
21, but now
20.
I'm
Yeah, 2021. You mentioned on
20
Discord.
something. I mentioned it on Discord. I'll hop back over there and take a look. But anyway, in the meantime, um, yeah, I sort of wish I could shoot DigiCarrot some feedback and say, "Hey, man, this is a lot more achievable than you might think." I don't know who he's hearing from that is telling him that that's an unachievable course.
Don't kill his vibe because there I'm not a fan of the timed courses. Like with the puzzle game, I want to just kind of take my time and work through it. And so there were a couple times where the courses were like 30 seconds long and I've had to play them a few times and it's just not fun for me to be under the gun, I guess, just being stressed out when I just want to chill with a puzzle game.
Huh, that's interesting. So just for the listeners, not all puzzles are timed in this
Hmm.
game, but every once in a while they are. And I enjoyed the timed elements, especially since there were modifications on timed elements. I'm going to do a little spoilery action
Hmm.
here. So if you don't want to know about this, maybe tune out. But there are some levels that are just strictly timed, and there's a countdown clock, and it starts when you start the course. But there's other timed elements where you have to position blocks within a little pit to form your own timer. So you have to search around for puzzle elements. You have to search around for blocks, and you can make a 12-second timer or an 18-second timer. And that's going to change the way you play the game and how much time you have to complete something. So I thought stuff like that was really interesting. And also, uh, I like the fact that there are timed elements, but not all the time. Like once in a while, it switches up and it adds some nice variety to the course. Um, but I can totally understand where you're coming from that you want to chill vibe with your puzzle courses and don't want to feel rushed. But for me, I liked the variety of it.
I wish the themes for the Winter Jam were listed on the uh on the itch page. They're only in that YouTube video. Do you know what the themes were? I guess one of them must be numbers or something. I don't know what theme it used here.
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I had it listed on some show notes a few weeks ago, and
Below
now that
zero,
you,
metal, and night. Below zero. This must be, I guess, below zero.
okay,
That's
oh, that's
cool.
a fun take.
Yeah.
And the course that I thought was quasi unpassable was 21.
Okay.
That's the one that took me probably 100 to get past. The rest of the courses took me maybe a handful of tries, some of them not even.
Yeah, a bunch of them I could do the first time or two.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was one that I solved first try, and I don't really understand why.
Hmm.
There was just like random pits scattered around the room, and then I put just whatever in them. I think three numbers and a minus sign, and it solved it, but I don't really understand why.
Do you remember which course that was?
It was in the late teens, I think.
Okay. Well, we've got access to all courses we've completed, so
Hmm.
maybe I'll hop back in and see
Yeah, I'll have
about
to take
that
a
one.
look.
Yeah.
Maybe like 17 or something.
Cool. Well, in the meantime, thumbs up, thumbs down, guys. What are you thinking?
Oh,
Yeah, definitely thumbs up.
thumbs
Go
up.
ahead, Nick. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Well, thank you for playing this one with me. I had a great time. It was nice to see some other folks jumping in there and appreciating this game too, especially one that is so super new. So, DigiCarrot, thank you for making short work of this game, and hopefully this allows more community members to play it. Really great job. Uh, but that's going to do it for our pick of the week this week. But what's going on next episode, Nick?
So for next episode, I picked Along Came a Spider 2 Valley of
Mhm.
the Hollow.
Ooh.
Nice.
So yeah,
From Fat Nose Games.
exactly. So
Former guest co-host. Very good. Very good. Looking forward to playing that one.
yeah.
Good pick, Nick. Welp, I guess this is the time of the show. We tell you that you can contact us at helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com. You can find our podcast at playdatepodcast.com. You can find us on Discord. You can find us on Instagram at Hello Playdate. You can find us on the Blue Skis at Hello Playdate as well. Bingo's tip line we mentioned earlier in the episode, but why don't we mention it again? Because boy, howdy, it'd be great to hear your voice. Bingo tip line is 724 Bingo's 1. Yes, that's a real phone number, 724 246 4671. Leave a message there, and we'll hope beyond hope that Don will edit you into our episode. In the meantime, guys, any final thoughts?
Thank you for all new listeners. If you just joined us after our top 10 episode last week, thank you so much for joining. And thank you to old listeners as well. Appreciate you spending your time checking out the show. And thank you,
Indeed.
of course, Ryan and Nick. It's always fun talking with you guys.
Yeah. Thank you to all listeners, and thank you both as well.
Back at you, homies. Welcome to the new listeners. Welcome to the young at heart listeners. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next episode.